right. Happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. I know I did not give you much lead time on this workshop, but we've been having bad weather and all kinds of things and just a crazy week. And so I wanted to hop on here tonight and just really focus on getting our thank you workshop done and kind of talk about what's next and all of that. So I hope some of you will be able to hop on here and join me. I can tell that my internet is not great, and I apologize. If it continues to be that way, we will do it another day. It looks like it just got a little bit clearer. We are having really bad storms here. And so I hope that you guys are not having bad storms, but we have been having storms all day. And so I almost did not do our workshop tonight because I wanted to make sure that y'all could see and we're not going to lose power or any of that. And I'm praying that that's the case, that we can make it through the workshop since it's not a very long one. But let's go ahead and pray. We're going to dive in so that we can make it work and hopefully have some fun tonight. So let's pray. Lord God, I just thank you so much for today, Lord, even for the winds and the rains that we need, Lord. I pray right now that you just help us to have a great time tonight. Help us to be able to create, relax, Lord, and to just enjoy our time together, and help us to get everything accomplished before there's any bad weather that may take the internet or anything else down. We just thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so welcome. We tonight are working on our thank you kit for July, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it before we jump in because I kind of wanted to show you a couple things. So this is what we're going to create. We've got this cute little card that's just like a fun fold card. So you're going to need like a scoring tool or your cutting tool if it's got the scoring blade in it, or a scoreboard, something like that. And then we're also going to create this fun layout. And so this layout could be used for so many different things because of the colors. If you wanted, you could put this on like this color paper in the back, which is pool party, or you could put it on white. With this in the back, to me, it almost looks like a little beachy, but totally up to you how you kind of want to play with that. Again, you could use white, you could use like a soft gray. I think that would look really good if you have some gray in your stash. So something to consider about that. So we're going to look at that. But what I did want to do before we jump in is I have the new Pool Party 12 by 12 cardstock here from Stampin' Up. This is one of the packs that they just came out with. That's the two-tone cardstock. So I'm going to show you the front side and the back side. And it is a little bit different weight than Close to My Heart. It's not a whole lot different. The feeling's just a little bit different. But what was interesting is this is Pool Party that they had in 12 by 12 that's all the way through, right? And where it's the same color on both sides. And then this is the Pool Party that's the two-tone, so there does not have, or it has a white core, and it's not, it's kind of like dyed that color or printed that color, where this is dyed all the way through. What was interesting to me is, I don't know if you guys can tell, it looks like it's showing okay. This is not a direct match. And I'm going to turn over the other side almost. I mean, you can see this is definitely like a lighter mint almost. And this is like a darker mint. But you can see that this is just a little bit different. But the unique thing about it is this is Pool Party here in this paper, and it almost matches better. Here's a little scrap so you guys can see. And I really feel like this new two-tone matches better. So I just found that very interesting. I think we're going to be pleased with it. I think this is going to cut better on our Cricut. I'm excited. I just got it in late last night or yesterday when I got home from church. I saw it was in our bin. So I have not had a chance to cut with it yet on the Cricut, but I do think it's probably going to cut better for us than this cardstock here. The only thing with this cardstock here is that it's kind of grainy or fibrous, and so it will dull your blade a little bit faster is what I hear, and it has not done so well with like intricate cuts, but other than that, everybody's been able to do well. So I'm interested to see what I think when we go to cut this. But I did want you to see kind of what the difference is, kind of the two tones that you can see here, and then with the colors. And it's interesting, this lighter one matches really, really well with the light color here, and then this darker one matches really well with the darker piece here. And this is just a lighter version. So I just felt like this actually did better. All right, so we're going to start with, I hope that that helps you if you've been kind of on the fence about what you thought about the 12 by 12. What was it going to look like? What was it going to feel like? I just kind of wanted to give you a little info on that, I guess you could say. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and start with our card. And Terry, it looks like you've joined us. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're on here. I hope you're ready to create a little bit. So here is all of our pieces that we have, and I had them tucked inside an envelope. I love this envelope. I think it's super, super cute. I just think that this is a super fun card, just something that we can kind of play with a little bit and have some fun with. This was actually from, I believe it was the May Paper Pumpkin. But what I liked about it is it was a masculine feel. And there's not a whole lot of card kits out there from Stampin' Up! That are super masculine. And so I did like this. And so I thought it would just be, you know, just a fun idea or something that we could play with. Okay, so there's a couple different ways you can do this. I did have to fold it already in order to get it to fit inside the envelope. So I've already done half the work for you, right? But if you have a scoring blade or a cutting tool, the Stampin' Up! One, or if you have another one and you have your scoring blade, what we're going to do, this is, I just want to check myself before I make you do it, 5.5. And so that means at 2 3/4, we're just going to take our scoring blade on the top section. We're going to open it up, if you can see. So we're opening it up. I'm putting the top section in here. And at 2 3/4, we're going to score it. And just make sure that you use your scoring blade. Mine just popped out because it's on that side. Make sure you use your scoring blade and not your cutter. This is part of the reason why I like to use, what do you call it, my scoreboard, because when I use this, I automatically almost always just reach for the cutting part. And then when I do that, you know, obviously I mess up what I'm working on, and I hate to do that. So anyway, but it is nice to have them both right there. Okay, so once you score it there, it's 2 3/4 from the end. We're just going to fold it back. Okay, and that should be right there about at the center. So that just kind of helps us. This is a super, super easy card to put together, but I love just how simple it is. You can do this with all kinds of scraps, all kinds of things that you're wanting to do. I just think it's super fun. So what we're going to do is we're just simply going to go ahead and we're going to put our pieces here and our pieces here. And it looks like we might need to cut one of them down. So I apologize if I have it too large. Let me look real quick. What I did was I cut it in half. And I think when I cut it in half, I needed to cut it a little bit shorter for you. So let's see. We just want it to be where it has about 1/4 inch or just a little bit of a border. No, that should fit okay. All right, so we're just going to stick this in here. It does not have a completely even border. It's going to be a little bit like 1/4 inch from the top and about 1/8 inch on each side and 1/4 inch at the bottom. And you could cut it down a little bit in order to give that, but I really didn't think that that was a bad thing here. And another option would be just to take like a stitching stamp or your like a pen and be able to just put like a little bit of a stitching all the way across here. And I think that would even help with some with it being kind of masculine and to work with that. So just an option there. And then what we're going to do, so we've got both of those there. We're going to open it up. We're just going to take these two pieces here. Okay, and we want to have, I love this little grain piece here. You know, it just looks like such a fun wood piece. This just came in the kit just like that. It was used, I think, as like a back to one of the cards that I was able to kind of cut off. So I love to be able to use the back, the front, insides, outsides. I even used on our layout, I'll show you where I even used the envelopes where I cut those up. So that was really fun. But we're just going to simply just lay this out. So they come together in the center, but the same thing, we're going to have 1/8 inch border on both ends. And we're going to still have that 1/4 inch in the center, or from top and bottom. Again, this is just a fun card I like to do if I have just small scraps of paper left. It's an easy little interactive card that you can quickly put together, especially if you're trying to do like a masculine feel card. It makes it a little bit interactive. It's not super fancy, you know, for the male people in your life, but it gives it enough that they can tell that it was specialized per se. And still kind of be fun and that kind of thing. Okay, so before we go any further, we're going to go ahead and do our stamping, and then we've also got this piece. Now, these came in the kit just like this, and you can leave it just like this. So one thing I want to show you is if you do, there's a good chance that when you go to put this on like here, you're going to end up covering up part of your design or part of your saying. And so you want to think about if you have this here, only a small amount is going to be showing. Or you can cut it down like I did in my example here. I cut it on the ends and just carried across the angle. Now the only thing about it is this piece here has stitching on both ends to kind of dress it up a little bit. And so if you cut it, you're not going to have that stitching unless you take one of the die cuts and cut it as well to get that stitching, which you could easily do. In fact, the die cut that you're able to purchase when you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, if you're trying to do it a little bit easier, was the one that came in the kit, and it does have that stitching on it. See that? So you would easily be able to make it a little bit shorter and still have that stitching, and then it wouldn't look hand done or, you know, cut short. It would look like that was the way it was to be. So just think about that if that's something that you have that you can easily do. I pulled out this Unbound Love stamp set. I really like this because it's got a lot of different sayings. It's got hello, you are loved, friend. It's got so many different happy birthday, my heart goes out to you, may all your wishes come true, celebrate with sympathy. I mean, so many different little sayings that this one I feel like could go a long way. And then it also, if you got the die cuts, look at all the little fun designs that you could get with the die cuts. It's got some leaves, it's got some of the round stitching, it's got this little decorative piece here. So a lot of these will fit the sayings. And it just kind of helps take it further. So it's a little bit more decorative in this design, and then again, still gives you some of those, the leaves, that kind of thing. So this is the one I chose to use, and that's how I got this Celebrate here. And again, I was looking at, okay, I wanted it all to be able to be seen here. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do With Sympathy. Okay, that's the one I was thinking I was going to use. So let me grab that. I'm going to find it on here. You can use any stamp set that you have. I'm sure, have a lot of different stamp sets in your stash that you use that are, you know, are from past Stamp of the Month kits or anything like that. I'm just looking to see. Let's see. I'm still learning how we're supposed to be reading these or figuring these out backwards. So they have it so that if you put it straight down, it should go, if you put it back where it's supposed to be, it should go exactly where you see it. And so I just want to make sure I had the right one. With Sympathy is right here. And that way too, you can kind of make sure that you've got the all your stamp sets here. So if you take it off, because it does not have writing on the backing, it's easy to be like, oh, well, maybe I just moved them too close together. And you don't know exactly what stamp it is. So this is something I think that they've just started doing in the last year or so. I've noticed some of the stamp sets don't have the writing on the back of this insert piece. But I do like the fact that some of them do. And again, if you lay it in there and you can see exactly how they are, then you can see which one's missing. So just a little tip for today on that. It is Thursday after all, right? So Thursday's usually our Thursday tips. This week it's just, or this month, it seems like we've been off a little bit, but I apologize for that. Okay, so the color that the pamphlet showed was that this was a Misty Moonlight. So if you have Misty Moonlight, you can definitely use that. I am going to do on a scratch piece of paper real quick. I did want to show you what Sapphire and Misty Moonlight compared. So here's just a scratch piece of paper. Sapphire is a little bolder and brighter, okay? But I want you to be able to kind of compare with what you might already have in your stash. All right, so, and the other thing to know about these is you don't have to push so hard. Because this is a foam pad, you can press down and get pretty gloppy. You can see how that's really gloppy on there. So just tap it a little bit, and a little bit's gonna go a long way, I promise. So it didn't do a terrible job on here. It's not super gloppy on there, but again, I did want you to see what that looked like. All right, so if you're still trying to build up your ink colors, this is what you would, I want to make sure you could see it. Make sure I got all this cleaned off. All right, so this would be Sapphire. Sapphire is going to be a little bit brighter, but not a huge difference. Can you see that? I mean, you're looking at, and I'm going to go back and do that one again because I did really push too hard. And so that can make the color look a little different. There you go. So really, it's not that different. This one has, the Sapphire's just got maybe a little bit more of a lighter color in it, a whiter, and this is more, got a little bit more of a black or a darker color in there. So just something to kind of consider, maybe a little bit more greens actually. So, but obviously I've got Misty Moonlight, so I'm going to use Misty Moonlight. But for those of you who don't, that might be a good alternative. The other one, let me see. I was thinking maybe Harbor. Harbor has quickly become one of my favorite colors from close to my heart. I use it kind of as a neutral almost because even though it's not like a black and a white, it just seems to go with so many different colors really, really well. So here again is Harbor. And so Harbor on this one, definitely I can see a little bit more green in that. But really, I think any of those would work. So I just want you to be able to use what you have. For something simple like this, you know, there's going to be sometimes where we will need the exact match, but in something like this, I think you're going to do well. We're going to have it kind of on front of this. So I'm just kind of holding this up. Obviously it's a perfect match here, with the Misty Moonlight, but just wanted you to kind of see some options. All right. So I do think, of course, the Misty Moonlight looks the best in this for what it has, but those are just some options that you have. All right. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to tap. I don't have to press down hard, which is nice. I'm putting it kind of close to my right side so that I can cut off a little bit if I want, or I can even have that covered up and I don't have to worry about it so much. And then I can put some of my gems there. So in case you don't have this die, which is really helpful. This is what I use to cut out our design on the other side. In case you don't have that or something like that, I'm going to show you how to do this without. And then like just to be able to leave it like that. So I'm going to lay this out. I want, this piece was again another piece that came in our kit, and I didn't want to cut it down for you because again it was going to depend upon how big this piece was, how long you wanted it to be. Because I'm going to try and leave this the way it is, the length that it is, and I'm going to kind of lay this out before I do anything. I'm just looking to see what I've got here. So, oop, I can hear, I don't know if you guys just heard, but I can hear all of the chairs on the porch moving. All right, so here we go, just like that. So if I do that, I'm going to take this, the Misty Moonlight piece, I'm just going to cut it at an angle, just to kind of give it more of a design so it doesn't look like it's just a flat piece. And I'm just going to tuck this over, and I actually want it to go a little bit over onto the white. Again, you're not going to see all of that from here. It's going to look like it's going across, but it's going to give it a pretty design when it goes into the white when they open it up. So we're just going to lay that down. If you do decide to cut yours down, then you can see how my original was. I have the design so you can see it here, and again, it just adds a little bit more texture to it. All right, and then we're just going to set this here and then set it down so that it's nice and even going across. Then I'm going to take this. Now, because this piece here is raised, I'm not going to raise any of this. I want it to all kind of lay together flat because of the fold. And I want to make sure that I can mail this and it's not going to be, you know, any issue there. So I'm just going to stick this right here. And I'm actually bringing it over so it's not all the way at the edge and overlapping. I want it to be able to see that. So right here, it looks a little like, okay, it's off center, that kind of thing, but we're going to fill that area with our gems. I want to make sure that this is nice and even, but we're going to fill that area with our gems so that it's not not going to be an issue. And I do still think that I would like, you know, on a normal thing, I'd probably want that just a little bit shorter, but I will leave it because I think that we can make that work. It's not a problem. All right, so I went ahead and pre-cut these out for you, and I talked to you about this in my original video. Technically, and I didn't know this, but technically I'm not supposed to be cutting out with our die cuts. And so I did not know that when I had already cut these out. They do not want the die cuts and the stamping already pre-done for you. That's one of the rules there with Stampin' Up. And so I have to try and abide by that. You know, that's my desire. I don't want to get in any trouble or anything like that. So unfortunately, coming in the future, I will be sending you with your thank you kits all of the cardstock pieces and showing what you're going to need to cut. And I'm sorry for that. I'm going to have everything cut up as much as I possibly can, but if it is something with a die cut, I'm still going to send you the pieces. You're just going to have to do that part yourself to cut it out. Same thing with the stamps. And that's why I'm going to be trying to use the products in the thank you kits that we have used in maybe our workshops, so that you're not having to get a bunch of product just to be able to do the thank you workshops, and it can truly be a thank you. With the Close to My Heart, we, you know, in the past, and I talked about this about the video, so I apologize if you've heard it a couple times, but I want to make sure everybody understands that, you know, in the past, I would always create the thank you workshop around the stamp of the month, because the people who were receiving them were the ones who had spent the $50 each month or that month with me and was able to get the stamp of the month for free. And so it just made sense. I knew people were going to have that. We would use that as our main, you know, the focal point or whatever. Well, right now, Stampin' Up! Does not have something like that. And so I don't want to stop, you know, sending my thank you kits. I love being able to thank you all for shopping with me and creating with me and staying with me over the years. And so I still want to be able to have those opportunities, but I don't want it to hurt you either. So I try and do it with something that I think you might already have in your stash because of something else that we created recently. And so that's kind of how that came to be. So that's going to be my goal. I can't promise everything will be that way, but that is my goal. Okay, so here what we're going to do is I'm just going to put my gems exactly where I feel like that, you know, they should go. And because I have this long extra piece here, I am going to go ahead and just stick them out in that white section. And I really like these gems actually here, because these are like industrial trinkets or something like that. I don't remember the name of them. I need to look it up. But I really liked these because they do look a little bit more masculine to me. And I love being able to kind of see that. And so I've got 1, 2, and then when you open it up, you can see the second. It fills that space, I think, pretty well. And that's pretty simple. That's how it's done. So it didn't take much at all. Again, these are just some of the pieces. The only thing I added from the kit was just the cardstock so that we could create something different from the cards that came in the kit, so that if you did by chance sign up for the Paper Pumpkin, and the nice thing about Paper Pumpkin is you can go back and buy older kits, older paper packs from previous Paper Pumpkins. So if you are part of the Paper Pumpkin people, you may have already bought this kit too. So I wanted to do something different for you with that. So that's what this is. All right, and then we're going to bring in our layout. So as I told you before, we're going to start creating this, our layouts, where I'm going to send you with the 12 by 12, I'm going to send you all the pieces, but to try and help keep costs down for me, I'm not going to be sending you the background cardstock. I'm sure you guys have a lot of cardstock already in your possession, or are getting that with your kit, so that hopefully won't be a problem. And 2, you can change out how you know, what colors you want to do in the background. So if you are trying to do yours exactly like mine and you ordered your pool party, then go ahead and grab pool party. Again, if not, you could do a white. A white would look really good, or a gray. We had talked about doing something like a gray, the heather gray, the whisper. All of these are kind of old retired colors with from Close to My Heart. Obviously everything's retired. Let me see from Stampin' Up though. They don't have a ton of grays, but they have like a smoky slate, and I think that would probably be like the greatest, the best, because it's the lightest. So you could easily do that as well. So if you have any of those as 12 by 12 instead of white, you're more, you know, that would be a good thing to use. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to start with pool party. And you can choose if you want to do light or dark. I am going to choose to do the dark. Okay, so this is my light, and to me that one looks almost a little too minty for me. So we're gonna just do it on this side, okay? Now with what I did want to show you is this is the die again that you were able to purchase that we talked about a minute ago. And all I did was I took this and I cut up all of the cards that came in the kit, and I just cut out several different pieces here. All right, and so that you could go ahead and you could get it like this and start playing, or that we could play with this. So what we're going to do is we still need to do a little bit more cutting here. And so go ahead and get your trimmer back and get your little bag of supplies. We're going to pull these out, and I'm going to show you what to do. So you've got all of these little pieces here, and if you've looked at these before, you're going to see that some of these aren't quite complete, but that's okay. It's not going to be a problem. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with those if it's not complete, okay? And then you have some of these obviously that are. So this was some of the cards that were in the kit here, and then we have this. You can tell this was from our envelope that we just used, so it's a little bit lighter weight. This is from our card where I just cut it up. So we have several of these. And always check, this one almost feels a lot heavier, so I was making sure there weren't two together, because I do try and cut two at a time just to make it a little bit easier, and especially as we had a lot of pieces together, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take these. I want you to put the white ones to the side. We're not going to do anything with the white ones in a minute. Those are going to be our sentiment pieces. So I'm going to set those aside. I'm going to make some room on my desk, and I'm going to take all of these pieces here, and we want to cut these down to 2 inches. Okay, and so what's nice about that is when we're cutting at 2 inches, the part that might be cut like this, that's going to come off. We're not going to have to worry about that, okay? So I just wanted you to kind of notice that or see that. So we're just going to put this in here, and we're going to cut all of these at 2 inches. And again, you can double up doing this. It's totally, you know, what you have the time for, or how good your paper trimmer is, but we want all of them to be at the 2 inches. So a little bit of work, unfortunately, that you guys got to do on these, but not too bad. And since I had kind of gone outside the box and cut them with a paper trimmer, I felt like, or cut them with a thin cut or die cut, I felt like maybe we could just all do this together. So you could keep all these extra little pieces for something, but we don't need them in this project, so I'm just going to toss them. I've got enough little pieces here. That's not necessary, but totally up to you what you want to do. So this week, oh, this is a hard week on this mama's heart. So this week I've got my my youngest baby girl is going to the J38 program, which is a wonderful program at our church. It's a discipleship program that it's a 9-month live-in program. So just like she's going to college. And it is just right at our church, which is literally down the street. But this is my baby, right? And so it is hard to see that my babies are all grown up and flying the coop. And so tomorrow, Landon goes to his school of ministry program that's also through the church. It's kind of like the second tier. And then Saturday, Kerrigan goes to hers. And so this week, you've not heard much from me at all because I have been trying to spend as much time with them as possible. We took Kerrigan to lunch yesterday and just enjoyed a little extra time with her. And tonight, after I get done teaching, we'll probably sit down and play a game with Landon or watch something with him just to get a little bit more time before he officially moves in. But he's working on his car right now, trying to get everything done before he moves on as well. So, all right. So you should have all your pieces. The easiest thing I can say, and it's totally up to you how you want to do it, but what I like to do is, and I'm working on several different workshops here, so I've got lots of stuff piled on, please forgive me. But what I like to do is I just like to put them all in a pile so I know what colors I'm reaching for. So I just stick them all out. Make sure I've got them all. But that way I'm not trying to flip through all the colors. I've got them so that they're an easy grab, basically. My husband loved, he walked in as I was creating this, and he loved these little blue pieces here because he was like, oh my goodness, that looks like so real, like it's torn paper, but it was just part of, you know, the printing that they did on it. And so that made me happy because it's, you know, for somebody who's not a crafter and, you know, they tend to critique a little bit more than we would think or would want, right? So anyway, anywho, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our, we're going to get our 12 by 12 piece here. And then we're going to start and we're going to create from the right to the left. And I was just kind of checking the measurements just to make sure that I remembered everything that we did. And you can do these in whatever order you want. I will tell you what I did, and you can decide if you think that that's what you want to do. But you can do this in whatever order you want. So the first one I took was the one that kind of looks like suede. And what we're doing is we are putting this an inch from the bottom. So you want this point piece to be at the inch line, and then we want it to be all the way attached to the right side. All right, so everything goes to the right side, and then it's about an inch from the bottom. All right, and then we're gonna kind of continue. Now it is easy to, if you kind of butt it up and have it at an angle, it's easy to get where it's, what do you call it, where it's at an angle and it's kind of flying up the edge of your page. So I do like to take a ruler or a straight edge of some sort and just put it there because I have a bad habit. If you've been with me long, you know this, but I have a bad habit of going crooked whenever I'm putting anything down, it seems. So I'm not sure what it is about it, but I've noticed that my vision gets wonky. There we go. When I'm trying to put something down straight, I just almost always put it down crooked. So I just wanted to make sure it was straight before I put the next one down. So I've got the suede. I've got my, I'm going to call it blue jean, but obviously it's not blue jean, but I don't know how else to call it. The blue distressed wood. And then we've got the one that is the wood grain there. The tan wood grain, same thing, just bringing it down, making sure I'm pretty close to the edge there, making sure it touches here. Then I'm going to take, I love this one. I'm going to take the multiple color one. We're going to put that down next. We're going to set that down. Okay, and then we've got, let's see, then I've got my dark wood piece. And some of these I had to cut them with the card open, so you'll see it has like a little fold line on there. And honestly, I've used them in my layout all across the board. My husband didn't notice. Anybody who looked at this did not notice. So don't ever think just because it's got like a little crease in it, when it's down on the paper, you're really not going to notice that so much, especially when you have something with all of these grains here. That's not even going to be something that you're going to notice, okay? So don't even worry about that. Okay, so what you want to do now is you want to take like a 4x6 photo, something like that, that you can put here as a 4x6 to make sure that you've got that, that spacing that you want. So I am going to grab real quick one of my placeholders. I wish I could send these guys to you, but I looked and we still don't have any at Stampin' Up! Yet. They are coming in the workshop kits. I did see that they started creating them and that they included them in the workshop kit, but they're not there, or we don't have any yet. And yes, Aunt Heather said wonky. Yep. That's an old phrase, Misty. You should know it. I think you taught it to me, right? For those of you who don't know, Misty is my sister and we both just had birthdays. So I'll let you guess who's the older one. All right, so I'm just setting this down, and so you can see this is going to kind of give me my my basis of how tall I want to be. Instead of trying to measure it out and then potentially being off, that's going to help you know exactly how to lay it out. So we're going to again start on this side and make our way over. All right, so we're going again back to the wood grain, and we're going to lay this one out. Misty, I hope you and the boys are staying dry today. It's not dry here, so then we're gonna do our blue. We're gonna put this one down. And again, I am just using these as my placers, that's all. So I know, again, how to line it up. I'm using it kind of as my ruler or my straight edge, so I have it lined up. And then also so that I can see how far up or down to go. All right, and then we're gonna get their suede piece. Schools here have closed, so that's a little shocking to me for rain. But I know that we've had, it's like the hurricanes or whatever in Louisiana. We actually had some friends come from Louisiana, and because they needed to evacuate where their house was. So that's a little scary. So I'm hoping that nobody else has had any issues, or they had to head back because the hurricane went through, but they still didn't have any power. So they got a generator and were headed back so that he could be there for work. But they're not 100% sure what they're going back to. Okay, so we've got light wood grain, we've got the blue wood grain, we got the suede, we've got our dark brown, and then we've got our blue. Okay, and we're gonna put that here. So I'm just kind of doing like, just changing up my colors. Because we only have 2 of these, we want to spread one out. And this is just something if you're recreating this layout for yourself with other papers or something like that. If you have something with that just adds a little bit of pop or color, but it's got all of the colors in here, just make sure you're spreading them out throughout your paper and they're not, you know, more plentiful on one side or the other. All right, so there we go on this. And then we're going to go ahead, not that I have to turn that over because I'm not really using that, but I wanted you to see that. All right, so before I move ahead, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to go ahead and take out this piece here. This is going to be our background. And then we want to take out our ribbon. All right, so for this is obviously, you can see this is a card front, right? But it's not going to fit here. It's too wide. It's not 4 inches. It's like the 4 1/4. Let me make sure I'm saying that correct. Yeah, it's 4 1/4. And we want it to be able to fit inside this area here. And we want it to kind of have that little, you know, where it's balanced. Same all the way around. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to have to cut this down first. And we're going to cut from each side in order to try and keep our element here in the center. All right, so if we want this and we have like a 4-inch piece here, and we want to have a 1/4 inch off of each side, so then that means we're wanting to make it 3 1/2 inches. Okay, but right now it is 4 1/4. So what you want to do is you kind of want to play, because you're going to end up doing like, oh, math is hard at this moment. It's going to be a little bit more than a 1/2 inch on each side. Let me see if I'm saying that right. 4 to 3. So I'm going to start at a 1/4 inch, and then I can go back and probably take off like 1/8 inch on each side. But I want to see what I think of it first. Did the boys get out of school early today, Misty? Everything here kind of closed early, so. And then we had a golf tournament today for our, with our church, and so that kind of threw everything for a loop too. So I know that this is not what I want, but I want to remind myself. This is what I do when I'm too tired and I don't have enough coffee to really think of measurements, so don't laugh at me, but this is what I do is I'll just kind of place it and see. And my fingers are not working tonight. Okay, so I know I need to cut that down some more, but this will help me see exactly. So yeah, I'm going to say about 1/8 inch on each side. All right, so yep, that looks good. So you see how I did that? I just did about 3/8 inch, I think, off of each side. and then we're just centering it there. And so I want to put that down before I put my ribbon down, because the ribbon is going to kind of go along this bottom piece here, and it may, if I were to put this piece down later, I may kind of put it off center because I'm using the ribbon as part of that guide, where the ribbon is actually going to cover up some of that separation, if that makes sense. So again, I'm just making sure that this is kind of in its place. This is going to help me line things up. And you can attach these if you want them. I'm not, because I'll make myself a note or put them on here, like what sizes. A lot of times if I don't have these, and this is good for you to know for other workshops too, if I don't have these, I might just write in this space with a pencil 4x6, 4x6, so that I can easily see it and know what's going to happen going across. The other thing is too, you could always change it and have a 3x4 and a 3x4, right? You could do it a little bit differently. So this just kind of gives you that opportunity. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to take our ribbon, and I'm going to cut off just a little bit on one end so that I can do a tie with it. So I'm going to take off about 2 inches, nothing too much. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach this to here. Okay. Now the only thing about this type of ribbon, I love it. It's one of my favorite types of ribbon. I'm just one about like this kind of woodsy type style, is that this does not adhere super, super well. So I am going to put an adhesive on it, but on the back, I am going to take some Scotch tape and or some glue dots. You could use either one. But I am going to take some of that just because I had noticed that when I did not do my original, that it kept trying to pop up, and I don't want to have a problem. Now, once it's in a page protector, I'm not going to have as many problems with it. But until then, I don't want to, as I'm waiting and figuring out what kind of pictures I want to put on it, my fingers are too big to kind of get that loop. So I'm trying to do it right now. This does not bend super, super well. So you kind of got to play with it, but it's so pretty, right? It's just so pretty. All right. Let's see, I might have cut myself just a little too short. Well, maybe I did. All right, instead of me fighting with it, I'm going to put it on, and then at the end, if I have enough, I'll come back and do it. If not, I'll put like a little element there. So no worries. If you followed me and you cut it too short, we can always do something else with it, right? Don't worry about it. All right, so I'm just taking my adhesive. This is a tape adhesive, and I am just rolling it back on it. Whoops. But like I said, for some reason, and this was too with the fibrous cardstock that we had, for some reason, it just did not want to stick. It likes to stick to my fingers, but it does not want to stick to the paper. Now, with us using the two-tone cardstock, that may change it a little bit. So I give myself a tail on both ends. I do this and I don't cut it until I know for sure exactly how much I need and where it's at. So it's going to be just like that. And then I'm going to turn it over and cut it just like that. Set that to the side. Okay. There we go. Now, honestly, that feels more sticky than the other did. So I'm going to leave it. But if yours is not sticking well, just take a little piece of Scotch tape or take a glue dot, and a glue dot will hold it down just fine. Okay. And so this is what we've got so far. Now we're going to grab into our bag of goodies. We're going to do a couple more things. So we want to take out one piece of this, and we want to take out, we'll go ahead and take out all of our other pieces, honestly. All right, because we're going to need them all. All right, so let me clean up my space just a second so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so for this, what we want to do is basically we're going to cut this in half. All right, there doesn't have to be any exact piece to it. Just kind of look at it, eyeball it, and cut it in half, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to put this at an angle right there. So again, if I put my pieces in here, I want you to see what it's going to look like. Now, again, do you see where the reason why we wanted to put this center piece in here first was because see how much it covered up where my photo is, or yeah, where my photos are going to be. I wanted to make sure I could do that. Now, the other thing that's really nice is when you go to put your photos in here, this will easily pick up. You don't have to worry about it, but because of just using that tape, you should do fine. Now, if you use a liquid adhesive, it may be a little bit harder, but again, a lot of times I don't use liquid adhesive with ribbon like this because the liquid adhesive will soak through, and then you'll see a different color kind of thing. So what we want to do is we're going to put this down, and we're going to put it at an angle going right across the top in these two pieces, and we want it going, you know, lower on the left and raised to the right. But as we're putting it down, we only want to put adhesive at this top part. That way, again, you can slide your photos up underneath. So I'm just going to put, you know, my adhesive just along that top part. And again, I am just putting this directly to my paper. You can easily pop this up if you wanted to. That would be absolutely fine. All right, the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to put these to the side because we'll need those in a minute, is we're going to take these pieces. Now, these came again in the kit, and I just popped them out. And I thought they were really pretty, but they were a little unique. So I just went ahead and cut them off the circle. I thought the circle kind of tied them down, right? They didn't need to be tied down. I could use them a little bit more spread out or however I wanted if they were not attached to the circle. So I'm just going to take those off real quick. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I am just going to kind of lay these out. So I'm laying this here. I like kind of having them a little spread out. My idea is, in a minute, we're going to take this piece here and we're going to put that right there. So I want to have this nice little design that's kind of coming from here, coming out. It's going to draw attention to my design and be able to kind of pull that. Now, depending on what you want, you know, this layout for, you could use it for so many different things. You may not want to do a stamp design yet. Let me show you. I want to still be able to use all of the stamps that I have in my stash. If you're like me, you have a lot of stamps and they're still good. This is a very, very old stamp. In fact, I can't even tell you. It might say on something how old the stamp set is. Let me see. Sometimes they would have it like right here on the inside or someplace, but I'm not sure. I mean, this is back to the point when we had, it was a complete fold out piece. I mean, that's been a long time. So, but it was nice. This was a good way for people who didn't know anything about Close to My Heart before to be able to use it. So if you have something like this, you could easily use this. This is a really fun one, but it's a little too wide. You could almost fit it all on there, and that would even be okay too, because what's going off just makes it look like it's a start and stop. And that one says that the family is our link to the past and our bridge to the future. That one's really, really cool. This has also got the typical family photo. We have it all. Family together, we have it all. The love of family is the greatest blessing. You don't choose your family. They are God's gift to you as you are to them. And we start and end with family. So there was a lot of cute little ones. And what I did was this one originally, family, ... together we have it all. This originally was one piece. And as you can see, I actually cut it into pieces. You've seen me do that before. And that's how I came up with my original family, together we have it all. So that's how I came up. I just, you know, put that one there. But I do like that I can use this one, family as our link. It almost fits perfectly. So I'm going to give that one a try. So let me get my block. And I want to put my other stamp away from earlier so that I don't lose it, because I will. I'll forget what stamp set it was in and all of those things. So let's see. And again, that is the nice thing, is I can just put it right back. If I'm holding it in place, I can put it right back on top of what I can see through, so I know that it's there. So I like that they started doing that. I hope that they continue to do more of that. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to get this out. Again, what I'm doing is I'm just using the Misty Moonlight. You could use any color that you wanted. I just thought it was, again, because I had so much brown on this, I thought it was nice to be able to pull in the darker blue, and that would kind of balance it. But you could use more of the brown. This would be good with like a chocolate or cocoa espresso, not espresso, excuse me. So Sorry, I don't really have to put this on straight, but for some reason I am, because the nice thing is I can see through it, right? So we're just dabbing it. And then I'm just going to do my best to see if I can't line this up. I want to make sure I'm doing it on the right side too. There's not really a super right or wrong side on this, but you can see kind of where it goes inside on one side a little bit more than the other. There we go. And I do kind of like that. Even though it went off the edges a little bit, I like that the whole thing kind of fills in there a little bit. So I'm going to use that. But you can see how you can just take, from my original, you can just take your stamp and do a portion of it at a time. So look at your stamps beyond what's just going to fit in this area and think about how else can I use it? What else can fit? It can go a little bit further, and I think you're going to enjoy that and see that it does. They do just that. They go further than what, you know, naturally meets the eye. So we're just going to put this one back. All right. And then I'm going to bring back in my card, or my base. Now we also have these pieces, and I got these pieces. I love these. I think that these are great. I love the 3D dimension on these, and I'm just putting these directly on top, one across from each other, and kind of laying it out. And then I'm going to take 3D foam tape and put 3D foam tape here so that this part will keep it raised, and then my 3D foam tape is going to keep it so it doesn't bend down. Okay, does that make sense? So there's a couple things with this. Everybody does this a little bit differently. I'm going to tell you how I do this, okay? When I have something super intricate like this that I was not able to use like my adhesive paper for, I don't tend to say, okay, I've got to make the whole thing have adhesive on the back. I know it's going to be in a page protector. I just kind of hit it with a couple pieces of, or a couple bits of liquid adhesive. If you have the Close to My Heart adhesive that had like the dots, that was really good because it would let you go through it and you wouldn't have like this piece of tape showing through on the other side. It was kind of more of the dots coming through. But I just usually do like the inside edges, and then I let the outside leaves or whatever kind of be raised. To me, that does not bother me to not have the whole thing down. I like it like that because it does give it like a floating look to it. I know some people it might, and if it does, feel free to take the time or make maybe a little puddle on your glass mat and take a like a little paintbrush, and you can paint the adhesive onto it. That would always work too. But this works for me. Now for here, same thing. I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive, liquid adhesive on the berries on the branches, and then just set it down where I want it to go. Okay. And that's going to give me a little bit of wiggle room to move it if I need to, but it's also, I know that it's going to stay on there once it dries. It's not moving. So make sure you like it before it dries. That's all I'm saying. Again, unless you're dealing with something like ribbon and it will just seep through. So that's the one time I think I don't really like to use liquid adhesive for sure is with the ribbon. Other times it's still not my favorite adhesive. I like to use the tape adhesive just because it's not as messy. But there's perfect times, for it. Same thing that we're going across. But I do like that I have the ability to kind of move it around a little bit. And Niecy's awake. In case any of you were wondering what that was, that is our Niecy girl. So most of the time I will just take this and put it right on here. But I've already checked and I can see that this is going to fill this a pretty good time. So instead of putting it onto the back of my paper, I'm actually going to put it really close into the center, so that I know it's not going to stick out, but it's also going to be right there for the backing. So that's why I'm doing it like I am now. All right, so I'm just going to take my stamp design and put this on here. Now, if you don't have it stamped because you're not sure what you want to have it say, you can do everything up to here, but I would not attach this until you get, until you stamp it, because obviously you're not going to have a flat surface to stamp on. So there's that. Now we're just going to go and we're going to get our bling, and we're just going to attach them. And I put 2 of the smaller brads. Well, I'm all thumbs today, or I don't know. I don't know what I am. We're going to get 2 of the smaller brads here. And we're just going to attach these to the top, and I'm just going to put 2 side by side. I am not trying to make a decorative element as far as like a cluster here. If I was, I know I've always taught you guys with 3, but a lot of times we do it like this, so it's almost like an attachment, like a button snap, something like that. And so that's why the 2 are there. All right. And so for now, the only other thing that we have that's remaining is putting a little bit of bow here, but I want to make sure that we have everything that we need on the other page before I go and cut out any more. So you can do the same thing, or we'll go back to this and we'll just make this into a bow and glue dot it on. So never fear, we're coming back to that. I did not forget. All right. So go ahead and grab another piece of Pool Party or whatever you use for the back of this. And we're going to bring this in. And I like to just make sure that I've got mine side by side so that I know that everything, keeps falling on me, that I know that everything is lined up well. So that gives me a nice starting point. All right. And so what we're going to do, same thing. We're just going to start attaching, and we're going from, on this time, we're going from the left to the right. So I'm just going to take this again just to make sure that I am following through with that line. So I'll have to move this over a little bit, but I want to make sure that I am not getting off my line. All right, so there's that. All right, so then this time we're going to start with blue. So this is a fairly simple workshop. And again, on the video, I talked to you guys about, you know, doing a little bit less this time than we typically do, not because I love you any less or I'm less thankful, but just because I want you guys to kind of understand the process and what we're going to do going forward. So, but I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you can see kind of how you can use the paper pumpkin kits and it not just necessarily have to be a card the way that it was shown. I will say I am not much of a card maker. I am probably 90% of everything I do is going to be in scrapbooking. But I do need a lot of cards, and so I've made a lot of cards with you all. I teach a lot of cards, and I use a lot of cards, right? And I think we all kind of do. So again, I've got blue, then I've got the wood grain here. Then I've got, or the light wood grain, then I've got the dark wood grain. Now we're going to use another blue. But I have to say, I have been pleasantly surprised with the paper pumpkin, how much I've liked them. And so I like that they give me some super easy cards to do that are really pretty. But I've got a lot of elements in there that I can change them up a bit. And so, and again, it's another thing that, you know, I signed up for that I'm going to have being automatically sent to me every month. So I want to see how can I use that to the best of my ability to make it into a layout maybe. Is it something that I think is, you know, is doable with that? So that's why you see more of that, and I've been talking about that. I promise I won't be harping on that always, but I do want you to know that if you did like the Craft with Heart kits with me in the past, that is something very similar. Though it comes in a card format, there's a lot that you can do with it. So don't feel like it's just in a card format. Okay, so again, I'm taking my 4x6 photo placeholder. You can take a 4x6 photo, you know, take whatever, but I'm using that as my guide. And I am just going to line this up. And then I'm going to start with my multicolor. I didn't have a multicolor over here on top on the left, so it's nice to be able to put one there. And then now I'm going to do the suede. And you can do the rest however you want. I'll just show you how I'm doing them. And then we're doing the dark wood grain. So this month I'll be showing it soon and showing you guys the flyer, but this month's special that Stampin' Up! Is having is where if you sign up for the next Paper Pumpkin kit monthly subscription, you can get 40% off the next month's kit. So the next one that's coming out in October, you would get 40% off. So it's a nice way to try it out and see what you think. And it does have an element in there that you know how they don't show us what the Paper Pumpkin's going to look like. They always like it to be a surprise. But they did show that it has the bird like one of our paper packs. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. But and so I think it's going to work well with that suite. And so, and that really is a very pretty bird. I really do like that. And I like that there's a lot that you can do with that. So if you're needing to make some Christmas cards really fast, if you need a lot of them, that might be a really good, fun way to do it. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. And again, there'll be another photo here, but I knew I wasn't taking this all the way across, so I didn't bother putting another one there. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back, we're gonna get our ribbon. We're gonna put our ribbon on, and you can see I'm gonna have plenty, which is kind of what I suspected, but I just wanted to make sure before I cut more and had it. So same thing, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add adhesive to the back of your ribbon because this is gonna be easiest. If you have it done, we're gonna bring our layout in and we're gonna bring it just all the way across. And I have it kind of where it's going, just so that you know, I have it so it's centered. Basically, those strips are kind of in the center of this, and that means just part of my picture is going to go up underneath. It's not going to cover up much of my picture, but it is going to take up some of that piece of this. And we're just going to flip it over, lock it down, and then we'll do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to cut it off and lock it down. And again, if yours is not wanting to stick to the back of your paper, if you're using the Stampin' Up! More fibrous cardstock instead of the double-sided or the white core, you may want to take some Scotch adhesive to it. All right, so we're going to do the same thing here with this piece that we cut on the other side, and we're going to put this at an angle right here. Okay, so I've got it about halfway in between here. Again, this one's at an angle where on the left side it's a little bit lower, on the right side it's a little bit higher. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to bring back in my my gems, and we're just going to put these. There is a tool for this, and I just didn't have it out. It's actually a pretty good tool. The pickup tool, I think is what it's called. Whoop, and I just lost it. It's all right. That's because I didn't take the sticky part off because I didn't use the pickup tool. Anyway, we're going to put this one here, and I'll get a second one there in a minute, unless I find that gem. Let's see if I see it. Yep, I did. All right. Now it's got a dog hair attached. The dogs aren't even allowed in here, but our dogs, oh, that's not even the tool. Who knows? See, I've just got stuff everywhere. But our dog's hair gets everywhere. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. So I will go back and put a second one there. Hopefully you won't lose one too. All right, so now we still have this little piece here, and we're gonna put another stamp on here. You can say anything that you want. Any kind of stamp again that you're gonna put there. So on mine, remember the last time on the first page I used this stamp set and I said family, together we have it all. But this time I used family is our link to the past and our bridge to the future. So it's a little bit more of a heritage type thing. But on the last one, I pulled out a happy heart sentiment. And this was, again, another old stamp set, probably, not super, super old, but maybe 6 or 7 years ago. This one too is an open one. But anyway, this was always one of my favorite because this was a saying that my family would use all the time, have a happy heart. That's what I would teach my kids when they were kind of struggling with something. So that worked really, really well for the other one. But I'm gonna have to think about what I want to say on this one, because if we're talking about heritage, I want to see. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to want to say yet. I may actually want to make this like my dates. I could do that and have it like a date or the name of the people. So I'm going to hold off on that one, but let me show you what I did with it actually. So, oh, see, this one started coming up. I did want to show you that. That one started coming up. So I am just going to take a little bit of Scotch tape. I got some out so I have it just in case. And again, it's not going to bother me at all because I'm going to have this in a page protector. But if you have this issue and it does bother you, get your page, you know, just get a little bit of Scotch tape. And because it's not touching a photo or anything like that, you don't need to worry about it being acid free or any of that. So you're going to put this, I raised this up with 3D foam tape, and I raised that up and I put it right here. And so when I put my foam tape on here, I made sure that I had some here and some here, but I did not take the sticky part off of the back that was right here. I only took the sticky part here. That way, again, I could still fit my photo up underneath. And then once you figure out what you want to do there, again, I'm going to wait on mine because I know that I'm probably going to want to put like names or a date or something like that. You're just going to take your 2 larger gems and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to kind of put them side by side right here. And I hope I don't regret doing this because that might make it harder for me to stamp later. I'm going to have to think about how I put it on my block. But there you go, just like that. And so we're just going to raise that up and put it over kind of in between the 2 photos that would be here. So if you're trying to figure out the placement of that, I'm just using this again for placement so you can see. These are my 2, so I'm going to kind of raise it, I guess, and kind of put it there. So it's not quite exactly in the center. Sometimes it just looks a little wonky when you put it exactly in the center, but it's mostly to the, you know, to the center or pretty close in between. So, and that's it. That's what you've got. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it kind of just showed you a little bit out of the box. You just needed little scraps for this. You could do this with any paper pack that you have and just some scraps, but you can make a really cute layout that's going to go across if you just think about the stamp sets that you already have and are able to use those elements for here. So I hope you enjoyed that. This is the July workshop. I will hopefully finish the August workshop soon and be able to have that to you. I'm also, the August thank you workshop. I also have been working on this month's workshop that I had kind of talked to you about, and I'm not quite done with it, but I thought I would show you a little sneaky peek of what I have. I'm excited about it. I like the look of it. It's definitely bright. A lot of times you'll see me with more of the neutral colors or the, you know, the softened colors, but I think that this is really pretty. So here's just, you know, one of them. I love the blacks and the brightness of this paper. I think this looks really good together. I hope you guys like it as well. But you can see that it's just, it's got a lot of the print and cuts, so we are going to have some of them. And then this is also from the Full of Life paper pack, or not paper pack, but the stamp set and thin cuts. So we're going to be doing some of that. So that will be something that you'll need. And then we also have an embossing folder here with the circles. So I will have on our Facebook page, I will have soon like the supply list of all the things that you would need for this to create. But then here's a couple more. Oh, yay, I'm glad you're liking it. That makes me happy. Here's another one. So Beautifully Lived. So again, this has got more of the greens in it. Lots of different colors, just bright. I love the rainbow effect. I love all the different colors that we're able to get into this and to do with it. So Deeply Loved. So Beautifully Lived, So Deeply Loved. And then here's probably one of my favorites, just because I guess the colors speak to me, but I also love the hearts. You have my heart, and it has lots of different hearts. And I love this one too because it doesn't have pinks in it, but it does have yellow. So this could be a really good layout for guys and girls. You don't have to feel like this is a girly layout or anything. Same thing with the last one. Even though it did kind of tell us, you know, about, you know, you have my heart or you're deeply loved. That's okay. There's just so much that you can kind of do with this. So these are it. And then here's one more. And believe it or not, there's even more coming, but I don't have it all done yet. But here's one more. This one does have some of the pinks and the purples in it that I think is really cute. So it's a perfect day to celebrate. So this could be for so many different things. This could be a graduation. This could be a birthday, you know, just anything that you're doing to kind of celebrate somebody, you could absolutely do this. So I just think that this one's really fun. So I hope you like that. I hope that that kind of piques your interest a little bit. These will be coming soon. And again, I've just got a couple more things I want to do before I finish up the creation of the workshop, and then I will get that to you. So thank you, Terry. I'm glad that you like it. I just think that's fun. And I love, you know, I don't do bright colors a lot, but it's summer and we got to celebrate bright, right? So there you guys go. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you had fun. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out and ask. And hopefully we'll be back together again soon. All right. Happy scrapping, everybody. Good night.